What's up, everybody? I'm Chef Matty B, and today we are back at TA Appliances and Barbecues here in Kitchener, and we are in the Fisher and Paykel kitchen. It is fall, which is one of my favorite times of year, not only because the weather's getting cooler and the leaves are changing colors, but also because it means it is officially apple season, and I can't get enough of apples. And so today I figured that we would do a little twist on an apple fritter by doing a baked apple and then taking those baked apples and turning them into apple fritters. We're gonna be using the Fisher and Paykel steam oven for baking those apples. It's just gonna get our apples nice and tender before we batter them up and fry them. It's gonna be delicious, so let's get to it. So to start out, we're gonna get our steam oven going here, and I'm gonna do just a complete steam here, and I'm gonna set this to about 200 degrees. We don't want our apples to get too mushy, but we do want them to get all nice and tender for us. So 200 degrees with full steam should be perfect. So now it's time to get our apples ready. I'm gonna start off just by coring them, and then I can get them peeled and sliced into about 1-inch rounds. And that's gonna give us that perfect apple fritter shape. And today I'm using Honeycrisp apples. You can use whatever type of apple you prefer. Maybe you like Granny Smith apples for a little bit more sour, or like a Red Delicious for a little bit more crunch. But I find that Honeycrisp is a good combination of sweet while still being nice and tender. And then I like my fritters nice and thick, so I'm gonna just take off the end and then cut it about 3/4 of an inch thick. Now I can take my apples and lay them out on the tray. I lined this with parchment paper because these are gonna get sticky and I don't wanna be stuck cleaning up that mess. And since we're baking these apples before we turn them into fritters, that means that this is our chance to pack as much flavor into these apples as possible. And I'm gonna be putting down the spices first, just to give them a little more chance to get inside of the apple and not have that layer of sugar separating the apple from the spices. And we wanna make sure we get both sides of these apples. And then a quick little drizzle of maple syrup before we put them into the steam oven. And these are already smelling so delicious. They smell exactly like fall. And we're just gonna let those steam for about 8 to 10 minutes. Again, we don't want the apples getting too overcooked. We just want them to get nice and tender before we deep fry them. And now our apples have softened up a little bit. We don't want them to get too cooked because they are gonna continue cooking while we deep fry them in the fritter batter, but they're tender now, and all the sugar and spices have really come together. And just to make sure that they're fully saturated with that sugar and spice mix, I'm just gonna give them all a flip so that they can sit a little bit more. And while they cool down, we can get our batter ready and start preheating our oil to fry them up. And for our fritter batter, it's gonna be nice and simple. Into a bowl, we're gonna start off with 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And to that, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of white sugar, 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then we just need to add 1 egg and 1 cup of milk, and we can whisk it up into a perfect little fritter batter. And this is something you don't want to get ready too early, because it is being leavened using baking powder. It's not gonna stay nice and fluffy for too long. So it's something you kind of wanna make and then use within half an hour or so of whisking it all together. And that is looking perfect. So now that our fritter batter is ready and our oil is up to temp at around 300 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm gonna take my apples, and just to make sure that batter sticks on the outside, I'm just gonna toss them in a little bit of plain flour just to give the batter something to bind to other than the melted sticky sugar. And that's ready to go straight into the oil. And these are looking perfect, so I can get them out of the oil. Look at how golden those are. They look so good and they smell so good. The apples smelled so good while they were cooking too. Like, there's no way this isn't gonna be delicious. These look so good. I cannot wait to try them. So I say, let's stop talking and let's dive in. Those are so incredibly good. All the flavors from the spices and the sugar, the maple syrup, it's all coming through in the apple. And the apple's nice and tender on the inside. The fritter batter is nice and soft and fluffy. That is a delicious fritter right there. And it was so easy to do all this thanks to using the Fisher & Paykel steam oven for steaming those apples. And then using the induction cooktop just makes deep frying so much simpler and so much safer than any other type of cooktop. The Fisher & Paykel induction cooktop just so much temperature control that you can really nail in the perfect deep frying temperatures for these fritters. Definitely gotta try this one out for yourselves at home. And if you guys are enjoying this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos just like this in the future. And come on down and visit us at TA Appliances and Barbecues to learn more about all of Fisher & Paykel's appliances. But that's all I got for now. So we'll see you guys next time.